Well, hello, everybody. Hey, Francisco. Thanks for being here.
No, thank you for having me.
No problem. All right. So I know it's Thursday, but you probably been through some open houses last week. And you doing any this weekend?
Yes, last weekend had some, and then this weekend, I mean, probably always, always trying to stay busy, but they're going good. Like for a lot of people watching that are also like on the market, that need to sell, and then get into another situation. It's really healthy right now in the sense where these houses, we're at a stage where yes, our inventory is still low. However, if you list your house and you're needing to buy contingent, you're not going to get completely shut out just for having to sell your house.
Right. What you could do is put your house on the market, rent it back for 60 days.
Yeah, that's
30 and then another 30. Because that's what I'm just involved with. Finally, now I think that's what they're going to do, so we can close on it. Because everybody gets into contract contingent, right? So buyers get into contract, and it's like this doesn't start for 21 days till we find a place, right? So we're sitting here like,
it's like a big waiting game. Yeah, and that's where it's
I mean, they're approved, but we're waiting. You can't even order the appraisal because you don't want to spend money on a place you're not going to be.
Yeah, and that's where the difficulty lies too, is because, I mean, some people, I understand, like, there's sometimes some people that need to take the route of going full on, like, hey, we're just gonna look until we find the place, and then that's when we'll offer and list our house and do all the other stuff.
Yeah,
but it's like I say all the time, every time I call an agent and I say, hey, I have a contingent offer, or I have someone who would like to submit a contingent offer, the first question is it in contract?
He's on the market.
Yeah, no, the first one's always, is it in contract, right? Like, that's what I tell everybody. I'm like, that's the important
No,
part.
we haven't even put on the market yet.
And then and they're like, it's like, so it's been hard because, like I said, I mean, it's like on the last show, everything's been tightening up a little bit. So
just wait till next week.
Yeah, right. And I mean, I know you and I have even said too, like even on the last show too, where, I mean, if they're saying that these rates are going to be dropping around May
10th,
yeah,
is what they're saying. Barry Hubby's like did a whole video on it. May 10th, circled the date.
Yeah, Barry, man, I watched a really nice Barry Hubby clip the other day too, where, I mean, he was even talking about just, once again, like the state of the market and how it's just, no matter what, it's just going to keep going up. Right. And I mean, you look at not only that, but also the rental market that steadily is going up, and landlords are no longer, being that cool with everyone and being like, oh, like, just because you've been here, we're not going to raise it.
Well, they don't have a choice with the rent control California put in. They have to every year.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of like, that's where, we tell everybody, get out there. It doesn't make sense, especially if you're not an owner. And I mean, even if you already own and you're looking to, like, maybe build a portfolio, or like we said, you're holding on to that super low rate, take advantage and go out there and buy another house, do a primary, only 5% down, go into the next one.
And I mean, there is programs like, buy before you sell program where they, it's like, I just don't like them because I don't think you get your full money out of it, because you have to give something up to get something, right? They're not doing it for the fun of it. Oh, we're just doing it for the loan. Yeah.
The bridge loan.
Yeah. Because I have a friend of mine who he's in the business over in the Bay. That's all he focuses on is that product. And I'm like, it's not for me, for what we're doing with it. There's another way to do it, right? If you're going to, buy, you might as well rent it back for 60 days. You'll be able to find something in that period of time.
Definitely. I think,
but if you're going to keep it, like you're telling everybody to do, it doesn't matter. You still got to get your money out for your down, or take it out of your 401k or something.
Right. And for a lot of people too, I mean, it's like I said, exactly like you said, even if, like, it's either like, if you do a bridge loan, it's going to be like that. If you take the route, like, it's going to be like that. What I mean by that is, like, that you're going to have to give something to get that. And it's like I tell everybody too, if you're going on the market and your house isn't on the market, you're not even in contract, and you're not even on the market, and you're submitting an offer, same exact thing. You're going to have to give more, to be considered in those cases, because it is a risk. I mean, it's just more moving pieces. Most sellers right now don't want that.
Well, they don't want them get into contract. They don't want their house in contract, and then yours falls out. Right. And that just takes out their house, plus the house they're buying. Now you have a domino effect. Now 3 transactions now are back on the market.
Exactly.
And that's what nobody wants. It's so much better. This is what everybody did before. They'd be like, okay, can I please have an opportunity to get on to buy your house? I'll give you 20 grand over asking.
Yeah.
I'll waive all my contingencies and I'll let you live there for 60 days rent free.
Yeah.
Now will you do it, please? Pretty please. That's where we're going to be. I said we're going to be back to this, and everybody's like, "Oh no, we're not. The sky is falling. The sky is falling." No, the only issue we're having is it's going to get to a point where we don't have enough inventory because we don't have enough inventory, and until rates get much lower, that's the only time inventory is going to pop back on. Plus, if I keep telling you we need to build 17 million homes over the next 10 years, and we are nowhere close to that, if we're at 1.2, 1.3. And we keep adding. So when there's a deficit, right? So you look at how many households are being built. The last number was 1.9 million households being built a year, and we're only building 1.4. And that's multifamily and whatever. That's another. Well, I'm just rounding up. Another 500,000 you have to add to that 17 million.
Yeah,
that we're short.
Yeah, it just. I mean, either way you look at it, I don't think we're ever gonna really catch up. Just as fast as it
never, because they
we're
got the kids after that.
Yeah, so we're never really gonna catch up. So no matter what, that's why it's like we keep saying these values are projected to keep going up and up. History has shown it, and it's repeating itself year by year.
Right.
And what else is repeating itself year by year is the rates and the increase in rental rates. So it's just an absolute, no brainer. I had a conversation yesterday, actually, went out with my girlfriend when I had some dinner with some friends, and he was talking to me, one of the persons there, and he's just like, hey, what do you think? He's like, my plan is I want to save my money. I'm thinking about the end of the year. He's like, my aunt's a realtor too. She's telling me to wait, and I was like, well,
Is she full time in the business or part time in the business?
And I told him, I said, look, I purchased at a time where I didn't even get that much of a good deal, and my rate was still higher, and I have no complaints. It's pretty much like saying, I mean, when have you ever heard a homeowner say, man, I really wish I was renting this house, right? Like, you never hear that.
2009.
You know what I mean? Well, like, you never hear that.
Right.
And that's where it's when I was telling him, I'm like, it doesn't make sense to be renting. I was like, what's your rent? $2,200 a month.
Right.
Like, that doesn't make sense. It's money that you're throwing away.
Well, they just don't understand the differences. They're adding it to a little bit more to that. They own it, and that's going on their principal, their interest, everything else. They just don't get it.
Right. I mean, even down to the fact of, like, if, like, let's say he waits, right? This whole year he pays rent, and he waits, and the rates drop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great. He got a nice low rate. But what about the year missed of equity? And also the opportunity right now to get those concessions, closing cost credits, everything that you can utilize so that you don't have to come out of pocket as much. That's going to outweigh losing a year of equity and getting a lower rate.
But you also got to look at how much more I'm going to pay for this next year. Right. If we're going up 10%, because according to that dream program, in 5-year period, you're going up 100,000 in equity, right? On a 500,000. So that means they're going up almost 10% a year for that to happen.
Right.
Well, 10% on 500,000. So they're going off of 5% rate. So even going up 5% on 500,000, that's 25 grand. So you just now lost. That's what you're talking about, right? You lost equity. You lost this. You lost that. Yeah.
I mean, and for a lot of people, I mean, $2,200, 12 months. I mean, that's almost hitting $30,000.
Well, my son's buying his first house at 21.
Yeah.
VA. But I want to go back to the Barry Habib statement we talked about a little bit earlier. All right. So the reason I follow him more than anybody else is back in 2008. He sold his company 2006. So he had another company like he does now. In 2006, he sold it. And the reason he sold it is he saw that the market was going to crash because of what we talked about with the baby boom, with the birth rates happening, and the amount of people coming of age was now all of a sudden for the next decade was going to drop, and we overbuilt homes. He saw that. So he sold his company at the right time. And then he got back in the thing 5 years later after his no compete. So, and okay, it could have been 6 years later, but I'm just saying, but that's what he did. He saw, so when he says he knows what's going on, he talks about it, you really need to listen to him because he knows what he's talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Is what I'm getting at.
No, 100% with him. I mean, he's just been in the business too for so long, and even
when we had fax paper,
you just listen to the guy for like a few minutes. I mean, I was listening to him on my way to San Bernardino when I was out there, and it was late. It was like 2-3 in the morning. He kept me awake, man. Like within like a minute, 2 minutes of listening to him, you're immediately grasped and you believe what he's saying. Because it's true. It's true. Exactly. Yeah. Like he really knows what he's saying.
Yeah, he just studies this stuff. He knows exactly, and that's why it's where when I say something, I go to him to see if he's saying the same thing, and then I know I'm right. You follow me?
Right.
And so just because he says doesn't, because there's been time where he's told us to lock, and I'm like, no, and I was right.
Yeah.
But he's trying to protect you and your portfolio. I'm looking at, okay, I know it's going to get a little bit better. I've been doing this almost as long as Barry has, because I was in it before we had that. Right. That he couldn't do the video things we do now and the stuff he did over 10 years ago, 15 years ago. They just didn't work that way. You got an email.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
All right. I just want to make sure. So when we tell you he's saying May 10th, something's happening on May 10th. Hopefully it's the right thing he's talking about and rates are going down.
Yeah. And we're going to see a huge shift.
I'm sorry, but it's already shifted.
Yeah.
It's just going to get worse. And next thing you know, guess what? Because this is the worst thing for listing agents. I mean, right? I got 40 offers on my property. Did you price it too low? No, I'm way over asking now. But you got to go back to each one of those, have the seller look at them, sign the piece of paper that you told them about it, right? Unless you set it ahead of time going, I only want to talk about offers over this.
I had a lady tell me 70 offers the other day on a house. Wow, 70 offers. It's ridiculous.
Well, that's what happens when you used to have 450,000 homes for sale in sold in California, and now we're in the 250. That means that's 200,000 homes that aren't available for people to buy, and that's why we're having this problem.
Right. Just going like right back to like with
tell your friend that number.
Right.
That's your problem, dude. And it's going to be worse this year because each year we've had 12% to 15% less listings. Yeah. So if that's 250, 10% less than that, how much is that?
Yeah, no, I mean,
that's 35,000 less houses. So I mean, it's going to keep going.
Yeah. And it's repetitive. And yep. I mean, we're just brace yourselves, right? Like, I think that the Dream Act too, it just, when everyone was like kind of thinking or they were up in the air of like, oh, which way is it going to go? I feel like it just catapulted us to where we're going to see things get really competitive.
Right. Well, not only that, but they're going to get kicked out because no one's going to take their offer. I mean, and I'm not saying no one, but somebody might. But this was like when they were trying to say the Biden administration a year or so ago was going to give us 15,000 for buyers to buy homes. Remember? Mm-hmm. And we're like, it is the worst thing they could do with this housing crisis. This is the worst thing they could have done for the state of California for this crisis is to do this program.
It's going to make it
harder. I mean, a lot of people are going to be, don't get me wrong. I'm saying some people are going to get homes and they're going to get rid of that 300 million, which is not that many houses. It's going to be like 600 to 1,000 homes, which is a month's supply of a few counties. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Anyway. All right. Make it a great day. Sorry, we're rambling on today about everything, but it is a great time to buy. If you need help on anything, reach out to me at Parcaut everywhere. Just go to my website at parcaut.com. Look at my stuff, apply, and we'll get you going. Or call Francisco Ruvalcaba at 209-493-2400.
All right.
Did I get that right?
Yep.
All right. All right.